All right, so having seen pie chart, it's time now to move to bar chart, of course. So we've seen what bar charts are. Just now, what remains now is for us to plot bar charts. If you're watching this video and then you've not seen what bar charts are, you can just quickly go back to the first video we had where we discussed all of these visuals in details and just check what bar charts are, why we need bar charts, when we should use a bar chart, and when we should. Right, so that works for us. So go back then and check. So we're going to try to get bar charts, of course, using both all of the three libraries now, Matplotlib, Seaborn, and Plot. So I'll just go ahead and put text here, bar chart. Sure. So now for bar charts, right? For bar charts, they require that of course, for plot, they always require. I know you know how to use the value count. That is if you want to check small, a little distribution now, right? You know how to use the value count method. After you do value count, you add dot plot, right? Then kind equal to bar. So this time around, we're going to see it from um, this viewpoint. We're going to have plt dot. Sorry, before we do anything, let's find the let's do the value counts first to get that series. And so gender, let's which one do I want to put now? It's not gender now. Let me look at another one. Not admission type definitely. Let's look at educational level. So let's run this and see educational level, of course. Then add a value count. When I run this, of course, but you see all of these guys, and these guys now are sorted by what by decreasing in descending order, of course, or decreasing order based on the number of times that they appear, right? The value can give us like a frequency table, so we can just do add levels and just do this now, like add levels equal to, right? Let's just name it add levels, educational levels, right? So I'm going to plot this guy. You can actually use add levels like this. Now dot plot, right? Then you pass in kind is equal to what bar. Let's see to give you that, right? Or you can use bar h to give you this, right? Which means you have to go and sort this guy out using sort values, right? Sort it back to what do you call it now? Let's sort it. Sort values ascending. I think this is what we're supposed to be doing, so that we get it in this way, right? By H. Now, what if so now if you look at this, what we're missing now is like our title and the rest. So this is not the one I want to show you. That's why I'm not going to spend my time here. But I want to show you the one that we're going to use PLT now. Dot bar. Then what we're going to pass in now is what our X. Now, if we pass in our X, let's see what happens. If we pass in our X, it will be add levels. Yeah, like this. At levels. Then it requires what we call a height, and the height is like the values, right? The values of these head levels. Right? This guy head levels now will automatically remove the index part, which is these names. These names now are like the index, right? So now this guy will now be like the values, that value. So let's do this and see. The height will now be dot. Sorry about that. Okay, dot index. I think I have to specify the dot index here. Dot index. Yeah, so this guy now takes these guys as indexes. Now you can see that this is not very clean. The only thing I can do is maybe to increase the figure size so that they can have space. But why do that when I can always just use a by H? But when I use it by H, if I try to run, it will tell me that I'm missing two required arguments. That's because if you are rotating it now, this guy becomes Y, and then instead of height, this guy becomes width, right? Because it's telling you now that it requires Y and width. Right? So you have to change these guys now if you're rotating the plot so that it comes back, right? Then you go ahead to add some of those things, plt.title, right? So I'll just go ahead and just allow Gemini to do it for us. The title, we pass in the title, X label, we pass in what we want as the X label, and where's our X axis? This is it. So X label will be what count. I'll make it frequency, right? And then Y label will now be educational level, and plt.show to show the chart. That's all. So we've done that now with a what? With a bar chart. So you can see that when using PLT, you need to have what? uh, you need to do like a group by or a value count, what I call pivot table. If you ask me, you need to have that. Now, for Seaborn, Seaborn has what we call a count plot. So if you want to do count values in Seaborn, you just need to come on the SNS plot. It has count plots like this. So you just need to pass in some arguments like data instead of data frame like we pass in. So SNS sometimes behaves like Plotly. Like I said, once you begin to master these guys, you find out that they are similar to each other, right? So you just need to pass in data equal to df instead of data frame like we did there. Then you just pass in your x now, because your x is going to be your educational level. Educational level, you can see educational level. So I'm going to take out this guy and just do this, because educational level, and let's see what it does. Now you can see what it did, right? So what happened here is that it automatically did the counting behind the scenes, and then it plotted it for you. So no need for plotting value count before doing this. Once you want to do a count plot, you can just easily do this. Use this for your count plot, and then use plt.title and the rest to edit the labels and also add the title, right? And then use plt.show to remove this guy. So now, what if I want it to be like this guy? I just need to pass in y like this. Of course, it gives me something like this. Now, another thing that will want to interest you about Plotly visuals is that even though they look like they are supposed to give us something like this, you find out that the bars are not sorted; they're just randomly appearing, right? And that's almost another issue we have with Plotly visuals. And sorry, the count plot, because I don't think there is a way you can inherently sort this. So if you want to have a sorted bar chart just like this now, you have to now use your educational levels uh, value count that you did earlier on, that you sorted. Right? You have to do that before you can get, and you can pass it in as data is equal to this, and then y is equal to, you pass in the values, the name of your series, right? So let's see that if you want to do with, just so that let you not be like I did not show you examples, right? Oh, let's go ahead to add the other things here we need. Let's see, plt dot title, sorry, plt dot title. What does it give you? Of course, plt dot title. Let's go ahead and accept this plt dot show, because frequency, that's what I want at the educational level. So if I run this, it will give me that, of course. So if I want to plot my if I want to plot using educational levels, I just need to pass data instead of df. Just pass educational level. In fact, I don't need to pass these guys like this. I can just pass educational level here. Ed levels. Let me see. I think this should work. No, it didn't. Okay, so we'll just pass in data. It's equal to ed levels. Let me see if I run this by anything to still give me an error. So, sorry, not an error, but it's giving me everything 111. So I'll just go ahead. I think it only picked the values. So you see the values, no, the index. So what we're going to do here is we're going to pass in the x depending on the direction we want it to be. But we want it to be to lie down, pass in y. So now y, if you go back to here, you remember we have not renamed this guy. So this guy is still count. So we'll put that one as count. Right? The name of y will now be count. But if you change it, of course, using the dot name. Okay. Okay, so it requires this guy to be like a data frame. Of course, we can make this a data frame. by making this dot reset index, right? By adding dot reset index. Yeah, thinking this things will change. Still giving me 100. Something wrong. Then let's do this head levels. Let's convert it first of all. Levels. Let's run this. See what it gives us. Head levels give us this. Now let's do dot reset index. Right? We drop equal to true so that it will drop the old index. Yeah, of course. So no. Please don't drop. Don't drop. The previous index is important. Yeah. So we have this, and now you give us this guy, right? So of course you can see we have educational level and we have count, right? So I can come here now and I will just pass in. I will just make this head levels since it requires a data frame. Just call it head levels df, right? That is if I want it to be sorted, right? Then I can come here after I've done this. You can rename the columns, by the way. You can rename count to what? To frequency if you want. But I won't. I will just go ahead. I want to be the black sheep now. So here I will just make it head levels df. Yeah. Then of course the count. Sorry, this will not be a count plot anymore. This will be a bar plot. Bar plot. I think that was why we were getting that error. Yeah, it's supposed to give us the bar plot. They come again. Let me see x equal to. Okay, I'm really not supposed to be seeing this. I was expecting something different. Okay, yeah, I need to pass x and y. Sorry, I need to pass x and y since it's the bar plot now. Count. Sorry about that. Sometimes you get to forget some of those things. Educational level should work now. Because we have them. So you can see now it became sorted, right? And you can also change them. Now you can see this guy now is now sorting in the other direction, unlike what we had previously, right? So it means if we want that, we have to, before we reset index, we can go back and sort back our values. Then in descending order, cool. As in ascending, equal to false. So let's run this and see. Of course, now if you run this guy, of course it gives you this, right? Then you can go ahead and do your plt.title. Of course, Gemini can help you finish up the rest. Then you have all of these guys, right? So that is how to plot a bar chart. A bar chart. Now you can see I've taught you count plot now, and I've also taught you a bar plot. Right? Count plot is when you want to easily quickly see the counts, and you don't sorting does not matter to you. But if sorting matters to you, you have to um, create like a value count and even use the reset index to convert it to a data frame, because once you use the reset index it converts it to a data frame and creates an index for it, right? This time around we're not using drop equal to true because we still need these indexes to serve as our labels, right? And you get it to be sorted like this. So whichever way you want to go, it's your call, right? But sometimes we prefer our bars sorted, right? And of course, if you want to plot a bar chart, of course, this bar chart is just a bar chart of the frequency distribution of the education levels, right? But what if you want to plot a bar chart of something against something? Like is what we did not see earlier. We just plotted a bar chart of um, you something. I wanted to say something against. Okay, let's go back to Matplotlib and try to do something against another thing. For example, now I likely want to see average age by what do you call it, by educational qualification, not just the number now. So I have to do like a value count now. So let me see average. Let's do it first before we call it. So let's do df now. Dot group by, right? Group by. So what I want to pass here is educational level. and educational level. What do I want to get? I want to get the age column. Let me see if I have that column here. Then by aggregation is going to be mean, of course, because I want to get average age. Okay, sorry, the group by does not have underscore. Yeah, so you can see the average age here, right? So I can go ahead now to use let me call this average age, right? Or let me go ahead to use, yeah, let's call it average age. Let's just call it average age. Average age, you can call it by educational level. I'll just call it this way. Average age by ed level. I'll just be copying this and pasting. So I see this guy run. Now I wanted us to see how this is now we trying to do like what we did here is more of a univariate analysis. So I wanted us to see bivariate analysis by chart. Because when you do this now, you can decide to come here and add dots, sort, sorry, plt dot plots. Or if you like, yeah, let's do plt dot plots. Then the kind, of course, is going to be what? The bar charts. Oh, sorry, plt dot bar. Let's do that. You can also use plt dot plot, but let's use plt dot bar. Then our x will certainly be our what? Educational average. This guy, let me just paste it. I have it here. But index, if you've not forgotten. Then our y, or our height rather, equals to what? Dot values. So I just allow this guy to automatically complete everything for us, right? And let's see this. So this guy gives us the average age by education level, and here is the average age. Here is what education level. Now, another thing you can do here from here, you can decide to sort your bar before you plot, right? So that you see the highest if you want. Or you can leave them like this, and you can also you can see these guys are clustered here. If you want to maintain a bar chart, sorry, a column chart, not the bar chart, right? You can come and let me just teach you some few hacks, and it works for everywhere. And just add plt dot no now. Why are you adding plenty of things? You can come before the show, just anywhere before the show. You can add plt dot x ticks, something like this. Then you can add what we call the rotation. And you can pass in 45 degrees for rotation. And you can see how these guys are. If they don't look okay, you can pass in 90, right? But this also was condemned because people have to bend their neck now to read what you have here, and that's obnoxious. So I will just copy this same code, add a cell below, and then do what? Bring in stuff like and just go ahead and change this guy to y, and change this instead of height to what? Width. Then I have this same things. I will just change this one now to y label, change this one now to x label. Then I don't need this rotation any longer because when I'm changing it now to a column chart. Okay, what did I miss? Okay, by h here. Great. Right. So it gives us these guys like in this order, and you can see this is the average age, this is the educational level. So we're seeing that the doctorate degree people by average age are the oldest people, and there is no much difference between people who are having master's degree and bachelor's degree in age. Like there is no much difference. Of course, there's some kind of difference between people who are offering. You see, so you can give your report on this, right? But it looks from here, and that is what it is supposed to be. That people who have doctorate degrees are what are the oldest in the game, right? And you have this. Always don't forget your labels. Very, very important. Of course, except if you set average age by education level. This time around, you don't need to add labels because everyone knows that this will be education level and this will be age. Once your title is descriptive enough, you don't need to add title. So I can even come here to make my charts cleaner. I can comment these guys out. Then just to make my charts cleaner, right? And of course, you can also increase the figure size. But then, of course, what if I want to do this same thing in Seaborn? This Seaborn makes it easier for me. I can just add the bar plot. Of course, my data will be equal to what df. Then what columns did I want to pass again? Of course, you can see it has already passed in these guys for me. So I'll just allow it to pass and I'll explain this code. So you just pass in your x as what? As okay, let me do it myself. So my x now is equal to, what do I want to say on my x-axis is let's say the age. Let the age be on the x-axis, and then the y-axis be what the educational level. Right? Yeah, y is equals to educational level. So I'll accept this from here and cover this guy like this. Of course. So now, of course, proceed. So these guys, we already know these guys already, how to add these guys. So that's why I'm already adding them automatically. Of course, you can go ahead and type yours. So if I run this guy now, it will automatically do a pivot table behind the scenes and give me these guys, right? And by default, when you do this, what it gives you is the average age, and you can see that it follows the same thing that the doctorate degree people are the oldest, right? Followed by these guys and these guys. There are a lot of things to explore about this one, right? You can go ahead and, of course, you can see it gives you educational level and age here, and you can also change them, of course. Okay, we already have them here, so you can go ahead and comment them out if you don't want, right? And you can also um, you can also interchange x and y, yes, so that you can have it come back here, and then you can now rotate x sticks, which is what I will preach against always, right? So let me do this. Yeah, I like them like this. Now, if we do not want these error bars, right? This we call error bars. And error bars, I tried explaining it in the live class. Error bar, right? It gives you a list of things to pass. First of all, it uses the 95 confidence interval, CI. You can either pass in a CI, a standard deviation for SD, standard error for SE, or point prediction interval for PI. Those are the four things you can pass. Those are the four things it allows you to pass, right? So what I'm saying now is you can decide to pass in by default, the error bar is using a confidence interval. If you want, you can pass SI. Sorry, SE standard error, SD standard deviation. I think we saw standard deviation at the beginning. So it uses standard deviation, and you can see that the sizes of the bars errors change. So standard deviation is trying to tell you that plus and minus, this guy is going to range from here to here. So it will tell you that for all of the people that are in bachelor's degree, their plus or minus their age is going to be from around here to here, plus or minus. And you remember we did something around with plus or minus around standard deviation earlier when we started, right? So I told you everything we did from week one matters a lot. But of course, if you've not been following our series, just don't forget. Don't worry. This will be you can still understand standard deviations as you continue to go. So it uses the standard deviation. And you find out something funny, the person that has doctorate degree does not have a standard deviation. That likely means that the person having a doctorate degree is only one, or all of the people having doctorate degree have what have the same age. So when everybody is the same age, the standard deviation will be zero. Right? When all of the set of numbers are the same, the standard deviation will be zero. But here, surely we have more than one person, and that's why you have the standard deviation. Right? So you have this, and of course, just like it will not be sorted automatically, right? So if you want the sorted one, you have to go and do a plus and minus. But I like it like this, right? But you can remove the error bar if you don't want, and just go and put it on here, so it goes all the way, of course. And just so I wanted to add something as well about these guys. Wanted to add something, but I forgot there was something useful that I needed to add. Yeah, palettes. So you can use palettes. In palettes, you can specify the color. If you use this, it will throw you an error. Now, if you pass in blues or greens, it will start from the faded color right onto the deepest color, right? Not by size though, just trying to rank them. But so it means that if you want them to be ranked, right, you have to use a group by. I mean, this educational level that we did right here. Sorry, not that one. Remember this one that we did, average age. Where is it? As average age by this guy that we did, average age by ed level. You convert it to use research index to convert it to what do you call it now? To a data frame, and then you plot it here so that you have the biggest one. Of course, here, fortunately enough, the biggest one is the one that is shaded here most. You can also use reds. You can also use greens, any color you want. You can also use them to show that oh more this is so without sorting. If you use this color now, might not really do us very well. So let's just use, since we are not sorting, let's use some random colors like viridis. And this also works for, I think, I'm not sure for Matplotlib. You can see viridis. This gives us a range of colors here, some random colors. The one I mostly like is magma. And so you can go and check the documentation online and just go and check. You can just do SNS bar plots or color palette. You can see it, right? Color palette. And they'll give you all of these color palettes that are available. And you can go check all of them. There is penguins. Right? For those of you that like, okay, sorry, this penguins is a data set. There is pastel. I don't know which one is this pastel. You can check it out for yourself. I'm just teaching you how you can go and research some of these things by yourself. So you can see I like magma. I don't know why. Just cool for me. And it gives you, so the colors are not sorted. But if you're using a sorted this thing, for example, like here, when you add the palette now, when you add reds, it makes sense now. Right? Even though now the smallest one will be the one that will carry the so, but I think you can tweak it around if you want. Right? So I'm just trying to show you different things that are available for plotting that maybe you did not explore. Some of you, I saw some of you do this. Right? That's why I'm trying to teach everybody how to do that. And again, if you do not want these grid lines that you're seeing here, you can just come here and do and just add the plt dot grid lines. Is it grid lines? Yeah, I think it's grid. So you pass in visible equal to passing false. Now you can see we don't have grid lines now play. And of course, unnecessary grid. In fact, don't add grid lines if you want your bar chart to be incredible. Don't add grid lines. I know that this video has already been long, but then I need to also show you something, how to add data labels, right, to this before we go to Plotly bar chart. Plotly, you don't need to, I don't think you need to do a lot of things. Plotly does a lot of things for us already. So let's see how to add this. So I'm just going to go here and then check how to add, and then you're going to see that how to add data labels to bar plots. You remember they spoke to us about that in the presentation. We said we should try to get that done, and it's very, very easy to, let me see, to bar plots Python. Let me add Python so that it give me codes for Python. Right, so you can see now we just, the only difference now is the same way we used to do it. The only difference now is that we need to be able to do this. I think AX, plt.bar level. I think plt.bar level should do that for us. Let's see, using Seaborn. AX is equal to this, right? And then I think this is using Matplotlib, right? So we are going to try this for SNS. We just call, it's just trying to tell us that we can call the entire plot that we did. We can give it a name. When we do that, we just run this small loop, right? For container in containers, because the way it sees the bars, it sees them as containers, right? So for each container or for each bar in ax.containers, right, we just need to pass in ax.bar label, then you pass in container, and then you pass in a padding for it. So let's see that. Let's try to do that. So I'm just going to copy this. And let me just copy the first line. Control C. Then you add the cell name, Control V. Now, when we have this, I'm just going to go ahead and call this a figure or something. But let me call it AX, just like they did here. So I'll just come back here and say um, for X, oh, sorry, if you like, you can say for bar or you can say for container. As you can see, it's already even brought it for us in AX dot uh, AX dot containers course. So you can, when you do that, to give you the opportunity to add this bar label, right? Then you can pass in the container, the bar label of the container, right? So if you do this, let's see what this gives us. Now you can see that you added these guys for us, right? So if you want to add padding, yeah, I think there are other things that are possible here. It's the padding. You say equals to 5, that is the distance. Let me remove these guys. That is the distance of every of them from the bar. If you don't add the padding, it's going to make them stick close to the bar. Right? The more you add, the more farther away they are from the bars. Right? So by default, I think I don't know how much the padding is by default. Right? So if you want them to be inside, I don't know if -10 works, but let's see if a negative number works. Yeah, so they begin to encroach inside. So if you want them to encroach inside, you begin to add the negatives, right? So I'm just gonna give them like this, right? For 10. I'm just trying to show you as much as you need to know about bar so that you can master bar right? And most of you are going to be using bar more than any other visualization type, right? I think so. You deserve to know more about them. Let me also see if there's also any other thing to know how to add here. Apart from okay, font size. You can see this was what I also wanted. Font size, very very important. Now, if I add font size equal to 10, let me make it 14 so that the font size is easily visible to anybody. Let me make it 14. Now you can see, right? Font sizes are very very big. This you can control by yourself. You can make it 12. I think the default is 12. Okay, no, I think it's 10. Just make sure that it is visible. I don't know if it takes font type, or you can check that. Maybe font color. I think it also takes fonts. I don't know if it takes fonts. Font weight. Okay, font weight for bold, right? Font weight for bold. Of course, now you can see it. So I can even remove the font size and leave the default font size and just put font weight equal to bold, so that it bolds whatever it is that I have. The aim is so that whatever it is that you're doing but is very, very visible, right? It's very, very visible. That's one of the things that we want. We want everything to be very, very visible because people want to see these values. Right? So you can see now that we've been able to add values. So if we've been able to add values such as this, right, we can as well confidently remove the x-axis. So I can come here because I don't need it anymore. So I can just plt dot axis. Let me see if I'm not mistaken. Let me try to do this off. Yeah, that's the problem. I need to remove the. So let me put plt dot axis. Let me put x. Maybe. Let me see. What does it take? It takes an argument. Tuple. Float, float, float. Ooh. Okay. I think the boolean it takes is true. So I'm just gonna instead of passing in off as an argument, I think I will pass in a tuple of for x-axis. I'll pass in true. Let me try this guy and false. Let me try this. So this will return an error. All right. So we're passing off now. Okay, let me do tights. Let me see what tights gives me. Of course, it's by default is tight. So if I want to turn off, I don't know if I can turn off just x-axis alone of, let me see. I'm not sure if that works. All right. So what I'm just trying to say is that if we can off this guy, I will be very, very proud. Let me see. X. If this doesn't work, we'll just try to check online if there is a way to do that. I know that there is sure a way to do that. Let me check. Okay. Turn off X axis in turn off X axis. Let's see Matplotlib. Let's see this. Okay. So you can see it's actually set visible for X axis. No, I don't want to use this one. If I use this one, I'm scared it might. So we can just get this code now. If we're using x.plot, if we're using plt, we can just use plt.gca x-axis.set visible so that it takes out the x-axis. So that's what we needed to do. But since this time around we're using ax, we can just use ax dot x-axis, right, dot set visible. Let me check. Dot set visible. Just to be sure. Visible. Just to false. So let's do this now. Let's see. Of course. So why I'm saying this is that, in fact, once you have your title, you do not need to have the Y label itself. You can just do plt dot Y label. Of course, you guys know what we do. Just make this guy like this. That's all. So you can see now I'm trying to clean up this chart so that it doesn't look plt dot title. Has to be this. Let me take these guys off. Now you can see what I did here. What I did is that first of all, I added data labels. After plotting this guy, we added data labels. After data labels, we turned off the x-axis. After doing that, we went to y label, and then we took off, what do you call it now? The y label. This is just to take off the y label, and then this is the to add a title and to do a dot show. And then I tell you, you can do this. You don't need to take out the x-axis, but I mean, it's not a mandatory step, but this makes your work look better. I tell you this. I tell you this for free. Why am I telling you this? Is because you have removed unnecessary details. So people are not focusing on any other thing. They are not focusing on that axis. They are just seeing past, and they already seen the data labels. So anywhere, whether Excel, or Power BI, Looker, any visualization library that you're using, once you have like what do you call it now? Once you have like a data level, you can go ahead and turn off your axis. Right? But if you do not want, you can just comment this guy out. I think we've done a lot. I'm just trying to show you a lot that we can do. Right? So just like I also told you that by default, this Oga calculates average, right? You can also change the what do you call it now? The estimator. There's what we call estimator. Like the estimator takes in some the by default is mean, right? I think you can use sum if you want to see the total sum. You can change it to sum. So this will sum all of it. Now you can see bachelor's degree now is having 1,000, but it's not normal. It doesn't make sense for you to add ages, right? You can also use max and minimum. I think it takes that. You can also go and check the documentation, see all of the range of values it takes. Now you can see that, right? So by default, it uses the mean. I just wanted you to know that. Right? So this is like an exposition, an introductory exposition into what you can use Seaborn to do. Seaborn's bar plot, right? So now let's see the last one briefly, which is px. Also uses px.bar quickly. The data frame, of course, is equal to what our df, and it works just like that one. Our x is equal to what? Our x. I'll use this one to show you something. Our x is equal to let's do educational levels here. Educational level, and our y is equal to this. So I'll also pass in title, you know, I also pass in the title as, so you can see I pass in my X and my Y just like I did in Seaborn. Then here it will allow us passing title inside of here. Right. So I'll run this one, you'll see what happens. Kadang, we have this. So you can see here, even though here you can see tiny, tiny rectangles here, right? This is trying to show you that this is like each particular age is represented here, showing you. So you can see for bachelor's degree, you can see them here, right? You can see for MC, you can see the doctoral degree. So by default, this guy sums up by default. So if you're looking for average, this is not a good guy. Right? If you're looking for average, this is not a good guy, of course. So it uses, and I don't think it also has a count plot. So you have to, if you need a count plot, just like you did for PLT, you have to do like a value count for it. But if you want to plot the bar chart directly, you can plot the bar chart directly. But if you want to do a count plot, you have to do value counts, then bring in the guy here, then run your stuff. So you have this here, right? But by default, it gives you the sum. And I mean, who needs a sum, right? So if you want to get the average, like I said, let's just quickly do it now. Age, age, sorry, average, AVG. Cool. Yeah, AVG, head level. So if you want to convert it to a data frame, let me take this guy off so that we'll take it step by step and you understand what I'm doing. So if you run this guy, what do you get? If you reset index, it returns this guy to a what do you call it now? A data frame, right? So I'll just go ahead and copy this guy, paste it here, and then make it a data frame. So that I'll be able to separate the one that is series and the one that is data frame. Right? So I run this now. Of course, we're going to have this. So this is what I'm going to use now. I'm going to come here and make this guy there, right? So my X is going to be the educational level and Y is going to be the age, of course. Title is going to be age. It's not age distribution, it's average age actually. Don't mind me. Average age by what? By education level. Average. So this one, we're even supposed to come and edit this one and use what? Average age, not age here. So I will just PLT, but X label. I'll just turn it off. Just turn it off. That's all. Now here is going to be average age. Just going to make this average. So you can go up and then edit all of them, all of the ones we've seen so far. Right? It's because it's an average age. So there's a reason why I'm trying to do this. Right? So if we do this now, you can see, right? It's no longer showing us as individual bars because all of these guys now are single values. So it will show us these guys. And you can see the hover effect, right? And you can see how it will dynamically change. You can see. Can you see how even the direction of the ticks is automatically changing based on the size of what we have available? I don't know whether there is anything I need to say again to convince you about using plotly charts. Now you can see, right? So if you want a bar chart that will just sum everything, you can just go ahead and use what we did previously. Else, you can go ahead and first do a group by or a value count, right? Convert it to a data frame using the reset index, of course. Then you now come here to plot your bar charts here, of course. And this is beautiful. I don't know about you, but this is beautiful for me. Because you can go ahead and check the other palettes. I don't know if it has a palette like uh but of course there is something I needed to also show you about bars. This video is almost getting to an hour. I don't like it. But I need to show you this about bars. Right? So let's plot another plotly visual. Let's plot let's say this time around I want to see I don't want to see total scores. It doesn't make sense. Okay, let's do that with maybe when we need to do something around there, we would see that. Let's see SNS dot plot, right? So now in Seaborn, here is just trying to tell you that hue is deprecated when, that is, if they upgrade um, Seaborn, it will be removed in this version. That is for those of us using palette without hue. So hue is just adding a color. So not adding another variable to this analysis. For example, now I'm trying to see gender distribution, average age by gender. Oh, sorry, I want to see average age by education level, but this time around I want to add gender in here, right? So if you add hue equal to gender, see what happens. It will separate these guys into now you can see what is happening here, right? So what it's doing is that it came to bachelor's degree. It separated bachelor's degree now into male and female so that you can now see this thing in detail. So even though before, without adding the hue, now you can see that the error is gone, right? Because we added the hue. So now you don't need to always add the hue. So if you don't add hue, please don't add color palette, right? So here now, it's trying to show you that now you can see male and female gender, right? So this is for the male gender, this is for the female gender. You can see that the males now are averagely older than the females. I mean, those that have BSc degree. And of course, the females here are by average older than the males, of course. And this is the only case where that happens. In most cases, the males, in all of the other cases, the males are older. In this case, we don't have a male, a female. In this case, we also don't have a female, right? So likely, all the people that reside here are males, and the person that reside here is a what? Is a female. Sorry, is a male. So that's what Hugh tries to do. He tries to bring in another variable into it so that it adds more context to your analysis. When you want to do a similar thing here, you use color. But here now we have to add in our we can't just use group by. We have to add group by. We have to bring in gender and education level now, right? So that we can be able to see that before plot. And it means I have to go back here. Let me copy what I did for ed levels. Let me check what I did for ed levels. Okay, group by here. Just copy this cell. Let's come back here so that we can see how it works with this one. Um, Here, I'm just going to paste this here. So instead of this guy ed level, and you know that once I have this here now, the title of everything change. So it will have to be average age by education level and gender. So the title and everything changes now, of course. So that's that about that. Now, if I come here, I can just go ahead and do something like education level. So instead of just I'll have to pass this as a list now, right? As a list. This list will now be passing gender here, of course, education level and gender. Now you can see it, right? Education level and gender. So if I decide to now plot this guy, if I come here, of course, now I have converted it to a data frame, right? Now, if I decide to now pass education level here, and I did not color it by anything, if I plot this guy, see what this shows me. Now it's going to show me. Now this is a division showing you that this is a different category. Now if you hover around here, it will even show you that this is education level, right? Where the average age here is what? Around 26.6. And the problem here is that it will add the averages. But it is going to show you that this is an average age of what? 26 point something is an average age of 25. Here, the average age is 63. And you can see that where we have two, it will show us these details. But now, I mean, if we don't add the color, so instead of hue in SNS here, we're going to add guy. We're going to add this guy here. So we're going to put gender. Then we're going to run this. Let's see this. This makes more sense. Now, now you can see that it's stacking them now up. So that when you're coming here, you're not using this guy now to serve as a to. I don't want to say to delusion you. Like what I'm saying is that this might look delusional because I mean, why is it showing us 50? Right. So this guy has summed up the average ages. That's why you're seeing it up to 50. But it's trying to tell you that for gender, now you can see that it has added to the tooltip. Now you can see gender. This is for female gender. This is for male gender. Right. And see another amazing thing I like about Plotly. When you select female, see what happens. Right. When you click on female, it filters out females and then it leaves only males. Now you can see the details now for male gender and for female gender. And when you bring back the female and you shut down the males, now you can see the female gender. You can see only even three categories have the female. Only the bachelor's degree, master's degree, and secondary school have females in it entirely. So One thing I like about plotting, the dynamism and everything, the fact that I can use these tooltips and the rest, the fact that I can filter out my visuals is one thing I like about it. And of course, I don't like using stacked batches because they can create some illusions. You can use bar mode now to make it what um, clustered. Sorry, yeah, clustered thing. Group, that's the word. Group. So that you see them now side by side, so that they are not creating a kind of a delusion, right? And if you try to rotate this guy, sorry, if you try to open other tabs, you can see how it will automatically adjust. I mean, it's just cool to use plotting. If you guys will just allow me after this tutorial, we'll just continue using plotting non-stop. I mean, but that's at your discretion, right? So I have taught you a lot of things about batches. There are a lot of things you can do about them. Just imagine it and think it, and you can do it backwards, right? Except that the only thing we saw now is that because this guy now gives us a total sum. If you are trying to do sales by category now, you don't need to do all of these pivot tables. I know, I mean, this group by, they can look scary at times, but you don't need to do that. You can, since we know that Plotly by default sums values, you can just bring in the F, our original data, passing your X and your Y, it will automatically sum. But when you're looking for things like average or maximum or the rest, you have to use like a group by when you want to use Plotly. But if you want to use a Seaborn plot, of course, you can come here and do what? And adjust it. If you want to use a Seaborn plot, you can come here and adjust the estimator to what you want, right? And just one last thing before you go is if you want to adjust the size, of course, we saw how to use fixed size. I don't think fixed size is available here. I don't. So you can use plt dot figure, yeah, dot fig inside of the figure, then you pass in fixed size right here. You pass in fixed size argument, then you pass in a tuple containing the length and the breadth. So let's say we want to do 15 by 10. 15 by 10 is that even okay? Let's do 10 by 8 and see what we get. Now it's longer now. It's longer now. I wanted it to actually get up to this point. So I think I swapped it. Let me do 8 by 10. Okay, I think I did it well the first time. So I'll just take him to my let me make this guy 15 by 8. Let me see. Yeah, so this was what I wanted. I wanted it to be as long. Let me make this 5. Come on. Just adjust the values until they look like what you want. So if you want them longer like this, while if you want them more, you can just give it 6 or something. So you have this. So this, I don't know about you, but I think I've, to the best of my ability, I've shown you a lot of things you can do around backplots, right? So in case if you want to add labels, I don't know if this will allow us to add labels, but I don't even know if you need labels since it has a tooltip that shows you this. Right? Let's see if it allows us to add labels. Let me see labels. Will it allow us to pass it through? Okay, labels is supposed to pass. We're supposed to pass in an argument. So let me quickly Google that. Um, adding labels to px.bar. Okay, so you can see this now. This guy is trying to fetch data to use. Figures px.bar.this. Okay, we have to update traces. Now you can see this code, text proposition outside, all of this. But do we need to do this? I think it will just pass in text. Okay, so this is one of those places where you can just come and get this code, see how it is done, then go back and add text prop, goes to prop. Okay, let's try this. Text, text. Let's add text auto, auto true. Let's do this. Yeah. So text auto saves us. So you can see it's not everything you see in tutorials that to save your life. So you can now see it's adding it right at the end of the bus, right? So we have this text auto has saved the day. I think I have seen that before, I forgot. So you can ask text auto simply to give you this. So I think we've learned a lot, right? It's time to now pause. Take care of yourselves.